At a point of time when everyone wants to either talk about the spicy, controversial moments from the first episode of Coffee with Karan, people storming into the theatre to see the mediocre Thor, or waiting to see what I have to say for the Mani Ratnam magnum opus Ponniyin Selvan, as I've been obsessed with the source material for the past week, there comes the second installment of the Khuda Haafiz franchise starring Vidyut Jammwal in theatres. Actors and creators were not kidding that making a good film is one thing, but the release date and the timing almost becomes the make it or break it aspect in the current scenario. Taking a leaf from the Taken format, the first installment of Khuda Haafiz that directly released on Disney Plus Hotstar was one of the most impressive Vidyut Jammwal ventures that didn't experience the curse of most of his films, and how they lose focus in the second half. The film's screenplay was tight, it like every other Jammwal venture really did promise and deliver high-octane action, and we saw a vulnerable and emotional side to Jammwal as a performer that we rarely get to see, as he mostly presents a capable, brave demeanor in most of his appearances. I also have to confess that Jaan Ban Gaye from the movie has to be one of the most repeated songs from my playlist from the first film. Vidyut successfully rescues his wife Nargis, played by Shivaleeka Oberoi, from the Middle East in the first film. Going through their own marital problems after dealing with the tragic situation in the Middle East, life is not peaceful for very long until Nandini comes in their life. And this also is short-lived, as she gets kidnapped by certain rogue elements within the same school. And what transpires is another high-octane, exhilarating journey of Sameer trying to rescue one of their loved ones again. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Khuda Haafiz 2 Agni Pariksha in theatres or not. The underwhelming aspects. Cinematic tropes. There are minor hiccups throughout Khuda Haafiz 2, so much so that they barely affect my overall thoughts about the film, but as comes with the territory of really dissecting a film, I want to expand upon a few things that you might find uncomfortable or over the top. A rabid dog attack that acts as a catalyst for a bond definitely comes across as rudimentary writing. One could think of several motivations to lead to a bond becoming stronger. While looking at a black and white CCTV footage, an eyewitness points and says, "Ye, Neeli wali van," which caught me off guard. Or Rajesh Telang's version of Ravish Kumar, his sole intention of giving a heartfelt speech that encapsulates the sorry state of the nation. And finally, the odd interval block of Nargis reprimanding Sameer, putting all the onus on him, was rather unfair in my eyes. All of these are not unnecessary to the film's storyline and actually lend to its texture, but I mention it because people might find them dramatic or misplaced. Trapping of big-scale action. I was begging and pleading that this powerful Vidyut Jammwal film does not fall into the trappings of most of his action ventures that lose their essence in the final 30 minutes. Thankfully, it is not the case in this film to fully sink the ship. The film has to be one of the most engaging and exhilarating first halves that only takes a dip when it transports the storyline to Egypt. I wished and prayed that the storyline stayed in Lucknow, as it lended to the earthiness and rustic nature of what made the first half and majority of the second half so special. The journey to Egypt that includes illegal arms ammunition, terrible accents, and a car chase across the pyramids is another case of creators believing in order to connect with the audience in theatres, such scenic outdoor locations are required. But actually, in hindsight, I believe if the film stayed rooted in the streets of Lucknow, it would have been possibly a close to flawless action revenge drama. The good. The music. Just how the music of Khuda Haafiz got ignored, I fear that people will not only ignore this movie, but the effort that has been made with its music, which is absolutely beautiful by the way. Rubaru, sung by Vishal Mishra and Assis Kaur, really encapsulates the struggle of the couple to reconnect with one another after the tragedy that transpired in the first installment, and especially the toll that it has taken on Nargis's life. When life makes you undergo setbacks, one becomes with the world and God, and this connection is beautifully showcased in the song Rubaru as the opening credits of the film. I have immense respect for Vidyut as an action star because he really takes care of the quality of the product going out there. Before I start raving about the action sequences and why they stand out, a beautiful combination of music and exemplary action shots include the song Junoon Hai. The rustic narrow lanes and the gory violence that commences is a sight to witness. Someone who really has a keen eye for technical details such as the combination of music with visuals will really appreciate it. The new developed bond of a family with Chaiya Main Saiya Ki and Ajave will really tug at your heartstrings. I honestly urge you to listen to the music album because it is really going under everyone's radar. Cinematography and screenplay. The film is shot absolutely beautifully, especially when moments of hand-to-hand combat or knife fights are showcased. I think this has to do a lot with Vidyut also being a part of the action department. Jitan Harmeet Singh as cinematographer with the action department has contributed to such a visceral and palpable experience that this is exactly what fans of the genre love and deserved. Vidyut loves long shots as it contributes to really having an impact with the choreography executed, and my god do the visuals deliver in the same case. The bright and lively colors throughout the initial parts of the film transform into greys and blacks to represent the change in mood of the characters and the theme of the film. A lot of credit has to go to Farooq Kabir, who has written and directed this film, as it really is a Vidyut Jammwal film that I have been the most engaged with throughout its running time. Nuance social topics. The biggest criticism that most Vidyut Jammwal action films experience is that they are emotionally stunted and only stunning from an action standpoint. But surprisingly, the sequel takes it up a notch from the first film by really getting into the psychological space of the characters in the first half, making it a perfect build-up for the revenge saga in the second. The film sheds light on individuals suffering from PTSD, how it strains relationships as individuals put their guards up, unwilling to deal with what is reality today. The constant tussle for Nargis to reject any form of warmth while Sameer tries his best to get some semblance in his household really accounts for impactful sequences. There is a sense of awkwardness, light tone, and gentleness with which Vidyut handles every situation in the first half. That is a great attention to detail for his spouse dealing with a partner undergoing a lot of trauma. Great casting. I have to say what a brilliant decision it was to cast Sheeba Chaddha as the antagonist in this film. Another case of talented actors, irrespective of their sex or age, being handed over the mantle to be menacing, and they hit it out of the park whenever they get the opportunity. You can say the same for Supriya Pathak in Ram Leela or even Seema Pava in Gangubai. Even though her appearance is brief, she is menacing, evil, and so confident that it was 10 times better in quality than the first film, as finally Vidyut had a worthy opponent in front of him. Her right-hand man, Dibyendu Bhattacharya, also puts forth a brilliant performance in the film. The little Riddhi as Nandini really has expressive eyes and lends beautifully in creating that bond between Sameer and Nargis. The arc and growth of a character like Nargis is really beautiful to see in the first half. Her growing bond with Nandini, her appreciation for the effort made by Sameer, and it all is expressed through a capable actor like Shivaleeka, who deserves so many opportunities by the way in Hindi films. She has a range we all saw in Ye Saali Aashiki, and she proves herself as a formidable talent yet again. R-rated Vidyut Jammwal action and learnings. I love the fact that this movie is a sequel in its truest sense, and really Vidyut has done such a phenomenal job in this movie. Not strictly from an action standpoint, but truly capturing a man consumed by rage, only having one goal in his mind: revenge. I started to think while watching this film on what went wrong with Dhakad, and exactly what this film gets right is what was missing in that similar R-rated film. You have emotional depth in these characters, relationships that you care for, bonds that invest you, long shots of action sequences that put you on the edge of your seat rather than abrupt jump cuts. You don't have glitzy foreign locations, but the same stylized set pieces executed in the gnarliest corners of India. Vidyut is such a capable vessel as Sameer, even as the vulnerable husband and as the intimidating man who kills everyone in his way in the jail. There is this technically adept sequence that is executed in the washroom of the jail, and it is a sight to marvel at, from a cinematography and choreography standpoint. I thought that only Khuda Haafiz Part 1 could make me emotional, but Vidyut broke my heart yet again, especially as he gets consumed with anger that he can't stop whacking a perpetrator in his face, shouting in the air as if something has been lifted off his shoulders. Through many of his moments, I could create parallels with Lee Byung-hun's character in I Saw the Devil, and a character realizing that once the revenge is achieved, you feel hollow from within, understanding very well you can't even recognize the person who embarked upon this journey. Khuda Haafiz 2 is a surprise package in my eyes, as I did not envision it to succeed in so many aspects. In a weekend that we got a mediocre PG product like Thor, which is going to attract most audiences, I assure you if you're a fan of R-rated action done well, I wouldn't know why you would not give a chance to this Hindi film that really put its heart and soul into the project and delivered with flying colors. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about this movie, if you've seen it. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.